All right, we're gonna discuss the HoloEN Among Us collab. So basically, I've been thinking about how they act as crewmates, how they act as imposters, discussing the weaknesses of their strategy, and discussing the herd mentality of not going to fix a sabotage, gaslighting itself, and having bad lies. So basically, I've been thinking, let me see first. The logical thinkers, there's Gigi, Elizabeth, Crony, Bibu, and Cecilia. Their logical thinking is because Gigi is more logical thinking because she's usually around crewmates, so she has more information at hand. And she also susses out the imposter with much more conviction than the other Holo EN members. So that's one thing to know about Gigi. Elizabeth, I've been checking her stream, and she actually did suss out the imposters, but however, her voice was drowned out, or she didn't speak up much about what she thought was suspicious about them. But yes, there was a scenario where Elizabeth witnessed Cecilia not helping with actively preventing the sabotage at the bottom part of the reactor, and then Cecilia could not give a response towards that. So yeah, Elizabeth had her suspicions correct, but in the last voting, she still lost, and she voted Crony, who was at least the second main suspect in her mind, at least. And then Crony, she actually is a lot more logical in thinking. However, she is more task oriented. If she is less focused on her task, she would be getting more analytical on the people around her and who has an alibi for the kills. So yes, Crony's playstyle revolves around focusing only on her task, while as an imposter, she still insists on doing the same playstyle of faking doing task, but at that moment, all the tasks that she is doing as imposter is much more visible to tell. I'll explain that later. And then there's Bibu. Bibu actually pushes on people at the correct moment. She does suss out some people, which is wrong. But at the end of the voting session, she would vote correctly either way and actually actively hunt out the imposter as a crewmate. While Cecilia, as I could tell, she tends to be controlling the discussion with her active extrovertness with her topics, and that could be a powerful tool to essentially gaslight the Hollow Ian uh, on being more oriented towards Cecilia's thinking, and pushing out who she is sussing out. And this led to some cases where Iris is getting doubted on, and then Gigi getting pushed despite being innocent. So yeah, there are occasions like that. So alibi getters, these are the people who are usually near other people, like they seek safety. So Bibu is actually usually with Raura or anyone who she thinks she can trust. So yeah, because Raura is one of the more easier types to see crew sign. She is usually what Bibu wants for an alibi, and that's why she usually hangs out with Raura because she can get an easy read on Raura. So there. There's also Crony because she usually does tasks. That means she's usually in many locations at once. So yeah, she usually does have an alibi. And there are occasions where people have an alibi, but it could be because they happen to be doing the same task, or they are actively hunting for the task and they just happen to stumble upon other HoloEN members. Like such as Gigi and Cecilia, they usually are together and they are like in opposition to each other, and they can analyze each other well on who's actively lying more. So yeah, that's one thing to keep in mind. Gigi and Cecilia might have an easier read towards each other. Yeah. Let me see. There's the solo crew. Yeah, the solo crew is basically the people who are usually alone and they have no clear alibi. So Kali, Fuwamoco, Elizabeth, mostly. And then there's Kiara. And as you noticed, Fuwamoco and Kiara usually died in the first to third rounds because they are usually alone. So yeah, that's one of the weaknesses of being solo crew, and that's because you usually die. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But being solo crew is usually uh very useful for an imposter because you usually have a logical explanation why you are solo because that's your active playstyle. And then there's the visible crew types. Kali, it's very hard to trust Kali. You know, you can check Bibu or other people's POV. They would suggest Kali is the imposter, but that's completely normal. But as you can tell, Kali has one huge tell on why she's crewmate, and that's when she actually has a logical answer. And in one moment, Kali has a logical answer on who the heck is the imposter and is actively showing visible emotional enlightenment that somebody in a small group, specific suspects, are the imposter. So yeah, she only does this when she actively or is near a kill because she would be more hesitant if the kill is possibly 4 or 5 seconds ago. So yeah, she's usually that type. She also usually wants to skip. Yeah. And then there's Fuwamoco who keeps pressing the button for misunderstandings. Yeah, you definitely are completely sure that Fuwamoco who keeps pressing the button is definitely not the imposter because they aren't the type to actively want to waste time and they actually think they found a logical contradiction in pushing somebody as the imposter. Like when in the moment where Crony was scanning and then Fumoko was like when Fumoko was scanning and then Crony suggests there was no visual task and then and then if Fumoko was being chased by Raura and then it's one of those types of misunderstandings. And then there's the visible imposter types. Uh, Bibu actually has a huge flaw in her strategy, and that's because she is an alibi getter, and she's not like Roni who leaves a room quickly to just do her task. Bibu actually actively wants to have an alibi. So the moment you question Bibu and she doesn't have an alibi, it suggests that she might be the imposter. Her other signs are being more quiet and she's not actively hunting out for the imposter anymore. So yeah, there's that. I don't know how she wasn't voted out, but yeah, there are huge tells towards Bibu's playstyle. So you just need to question her once, and then if she can't give an alibi or at least suggest somebody else is confirmed good, it most likely points that Bibu was alone for quite a while. So Elizabeth, yeah, she could do she could say a lot of stuff which wouldn't make sense. So yeah, when she was questioned about her task, she could not answer. So yeah, and there's the not enough data for Gigi because she's not streaming. You won't really know what occurs on her side for non-meetings. But she seems to be near other people too. And she does fix the sabotage. So yeah. And there's not enough data for Raura as an imposter because I'm pretty sure Raura is rarely imposter, or maybe she was never imposter yet. So as you can see, Oro, and Cecilia are gaslight types. So basically, Crony wants to fix, well, if they're imposters, they're gonna actively want to kill in a more specific scenario where there are no nearby witnesses. So yeah. Well, CC killed Gigi though in front of Iris, so I don't know what she was doing there, but I think she was trolling. But somehow CC still somehow managed to live for at least one more round. So let me see. So Crony is actually pretty professional in terms of Among Us gameplay. So everybody in HoloEN notices that she does not want to fix the sabotage actively, despite her professional instincts. She only does that at the very minimum amount of seconds left. So yeah. And then she's usually the only one who can do stack kills. So yeah, she's that type of imposter. Iris, she's actually does any playstyle actually. Because in one game she would be actively evasive towards other crewmates, and then in other games she would be more engaging towards having an alibi or trusting other people. So and then there's Fuwamoco. Well, so to explain Fuwamoco, as imposters, they are very easy to tell as imposters because the moment they are accused, they have no good defense. And most of all, Fumoko has huge signs that they are imposter. Firstly, Fumoko stops screaming. Fumoko stops pressing the button out of misunderstandings. Fumoko also, you, Fumoko also gives out information which should not be um known by them, like the shapeshifter. So, and then there's Gigi. Gigi is a more logical thinker. She's actually like she can switch between being a jest. She cannot actively lie as imposter. She once she is accused as imposter, she usually just defaults and sinks and just says, "Oh, you think I'm imposter? Then vote me out. I guess I'm imposter." Like she usually just says that. So I think Gigi as imposter is has a not has a huge tell. So there, but that's only if she is accused. But if she is ignored and not hard pushed, so she might live to kill more crewmates and win the game with the other imposters. So yeah. As a crewmate, Gigi is more logical in thinking. She is actively hunting for the imposters. She denotes one or two people she susses out as imposters, and that's pretty much it. She uh she can be gaslighted. She can be gaslighted, like with Cecilia or Kiara, or maybe she was pretending to be trusting of Kiara and Cecilia, but I don't know. I think we won't really know. We won't really know unless we have a POV for her. So yeah. Let me see. Elizabeth Roseblood fame. Elizabeth's play style. I already checked it myself. She actively kills as long as the person is alone. So yeah, there's no alibi or people she would suss out on meetings for her kills. So yeah, she just kills because when her kill cooldown is up. So yeah, let me see. More Calliope. Yeah, as I said, there are very specific signs. She is more emotionally enlightened when she discovers who the suspects are between imposters, and she is act. And as an imposter, she is quiet, which is not a very, very huge sign. So yeah, that's gonna be hard to tell. If Morika Laivi is the imposter, she's gonna be hard to tell because she's a lot more quiet. Much like Elizabeth Rose Bloodflame, she is also quiet because she lets the other people speak. despite Elizabeth Rosebud fame, realizing certain people are suspicious, she still won't speak up about it. So yeah, let me see. Cecilia. She has a she is very vocal in meetings. Actually, Cecilia, as I said, is a gaslight type. In her first game, she kills Gigi and is outed immediately. After this, she adjusts her playstyle to instead kill when it's most convenient. Or she would focus on another playstyle, which is to simply not kill anyone and just gaslight people into voting each other. So, yeah. Cecilia would start changing her strategy and she would just focus more on, oh, this person's good. Oh, this person's good. I trust this person. And it would be like that. That would be her playstyle instead of doing the killings. This strategy has a flaw, and that's if all the crewmates complete their task. So yeah, that's the flaw for this plan. But yeah, but good thing that there are people who don't fix sabotage. Like many people here don't fix sabotage. Only Gigi, Fuwamoco, and maybe Elizabeth shows up to fix sabotage immediately. That's because Biju and Raura are together, and that's what I'm gonna focus on next. So Biju, as I said, is an alibi getter. She usually wants to stick to someone she trusts. So Raura, being the most visible crewmate with signs, as Raura is doing the tasks like meteors or any task which shows some kind of clarity on her doing specific task, Biju would just trust it. So there is a weakness for this though. Biju is a logical thinker, okay, but she actually does record on who the alibis are and who is nearby. However, she can be gaslighted. Yes, that's right. Uh, Biju actually trusted Cecilia once in other games, and she Bibu could like she could make wrong assumptions based on trusting somebody else over the other that she hasn't interacted much. So yeah, but she does usually suss out the imposters correctly. It's just that she can be gaslighted. So yeah, that's one thing. And as an imposter, her strategy is the weakest because, as you can tell, um, if Biju is actively hunting for an alibi, how could she get killed? So the only moment she could get a kill is if she escapes from her trusted companion like Raura and then just go solo and just kill somebody alone. So yeah, that's a huge tell on Miju being suspicious. Yeah. Kiara, actually, in previous Among Us games, I would like to mention that Kiara had a huge tell where she would stop screaming if she was imposter. But after all those games, she actually started adjusting her playstyle. She doesn't scream as crewmate anymore. So yeah, she stopped screaming as crewmate, and this made her less easy to be detectable as an imposter. So yeah, that's one thing to mention about Kiara. She stopped screaming as a crewmate, and she actively wants to be near other HoloEN members when she is a crewmate now. So yeah, that's one thing. Like she tried it with Fumoco. So yeah. As an imposter, Kiara has a pretty open playstyle. She is usually solo, and she actually says the truth pretty much with ease. So people don't usually doubt on what she says. So there. As long as it's not her being visible or near towards a kill, she should not usually get voted off. So Raura, she doesn't really have any data as an imposter, so I can't really say much, but her crew signs are very visible. She would be very excited on doing her tasks, and that's it. Well, that's all I wanted to say about HoloEN Among Us. Well, there is one thing I wanted to mention. Let me see, who has the strongest playstyle? It's probably Crony. She sits at the back, goes silent, and she only votes off and talks at critical moments, I guess. And so she's not much of a target. And who has the weakest strategy? Fumopo, number one, definitely. And then there's number two, definitely Bibu. Definitely Bibu. If people focused if Hollow EN realized Bibu's strategy, she would get outed instantly. So yeah, but I don't think any of them realize that. So they usually just target Cecilia and Gigi because they're both actively arguing with each other. So yeah. Hmm. The Usually the people who are solo have the strongest strategy, but they are more susceptible to dying, like Fumoko, Kaling, and Kiara. So they're usually alone. So what else could I say? The sabotage, right? The sabotage. Yeah, mostly everybody here doesn't want to fix the sabotage. Fumoko, Gigi, and Herb want to fix the sabotage. So yeah, they usually arrive on time. But if these three are killed, usually the imposters win through um actually Cecilia, yeah, that's right. Cecilia was usually imposter, but if she is crewmate, she usually does fix the sabotages, yeah. So I need to edit that. So Cecilia does fix the sabotage actively as a crewmate. So that's her tell. So yeah. I wonder if she doesn't go to sabotages as an imposter. Well, I wouldn't know since I don't have her POV. So yeah, let me see. That's pretty much it. I guess the most notable thing is Kiara and Biju usually are the only ones who did a double kill at the same time. So yeah, so it's very important that these two are in sync in who they kill. And that's very dangerous because these two are probably the strongest in a six person left composition because they can actually pull off a double kill at the same time. So yeah, usually all of them could find a body. However, in large maps they won't find a body. So yeah, in small maps, Kara and Bibu can do a double kill. So Cecilia, she doesn't know the concept of double killing. Her and Iris could have won much more earlier if she just actively waited outside the door to kill whoever would come inside, since it would basically tie the both the imposters and the crewmates would be 2-2. So she Cecilia is still a bit new in some areas regarding actively counting the number of crewmates left and the number of kills needed. So to win. Let me see. That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much it actually. Kali insists on, skipping. That's one thing, Kali usually insists on skipping and saying someone is innocent. She usually always does that unless the person is near the kill with without doubt. So yeah. It's a very obvious sign that she's good. So you can actually detect if Kali is good by focusing on that playstyle of hers. So It's very difficult to detect Iris, but at the same time, she's not as trustworthy as everybody else since people suss her out. Um, despite despite no visible signs of her being suspicious. So yeah. She's only just actively alone, and then she's being sussed out, and then Crony is being ignored despite doing the same. So yeah, it's like I don't know. It's like people focus on Iris more. It's like the spotlight is on her. So yeah, it's like that. That's all I wanted to say, and that's basically HoloEN in regards to Among Us and how their playstyle works. Gigi is a bit of a jokester. She might actively sabotage as a crewmate and tell people to vote on her. Crony is the same. She might be very tired sometimes and just want to be actively voted off. And that's all. If there's one thing I need to mention, Iris as a crewmate, she might not be good at telling logical truths. Because, Iris voted Gigi, who claimed scientist with nobody dead. So, yeah, Gigi should be confirmed scientist at that point because scientist is 100% spawn rate. So, yeah, if nobody is counterclaiming scientist, it's most likely that Gigi is the scientist, and nobody would dare to counterclaim that because an imposter wouldn't really risk to counterclaim uh scientists. So yeah, it's one thing to know that in Among Us, people usually don't announce their roles in stranger lobbies. However, in a much more contained friend group like this, actively saying your role is actually more powerful than you think. Like Fumo declaring they're scientists or GG declaring they are scientists, and then specific people saying they are engineers. It should have been enough to prove them as definite, confirmed crewmates because it would be risky for an imposter to claim a role if the real one is still alive. And even if an imposter kills somebody, they won't know if they have a role or if they had a role. So at any point, it's always risky for them to claim a role because they don't know if the person who has a role already died. So yeah, it's very hard for imposters to actually counterclaim roles. They just leave them to claim those roles and give them suspicion later on if they want to make the people who claimed roles more suspicious, despite the lack of evidence that strongly suggests that they are lying in being a specific role. So yeah, and there are cases where Kali was like the noisemaker, and then Crony, she thought she was the noisemaker, but she wasn't. She was not the noisemaker. She was really sleepy, and she was just a regular crewmate. So there are cases like that. So there So yeah, if HoloEN is focusing on a more fun play style, they will maintain this. But I suggest on being more attentive towards Fuwamoco and Bibu's play styles because it's very obvious. It's very obvious. Yeah. And if there's another suggestion, I guess you could say that hmm claiming roles. If somebody claims their role, they should probably trust it. Yeah. As long as it's only one or no people dead, they should probably trust the person claiming the role. It's most likely they are telling the truth. So, because if a counterclaim appears, then just vote both of them out. That would be guaranteed -1 imposter. Or just a misunderstanding like Crony and Kali. If they both were voted out, it would have been very bad because both of them were crewmates. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. And I think they are more emotionally they're more emotionally focused on their voting. So yeah. It's less logic. Only Gigi and Biju are focusing on logic and pushing towards that world where somebody is an imposter based on logical facts. I haven't actually seen much logical push for Cece, and that's probably because she's always near Gigi instead. She should probably focus on getting other signs from other members, like Fumoco, Raura, or Kiara. She should, I want to see that more. So yeah. Crony, she's not really an analytical type, so yeah, she's more task oriented, and she's always gonna do that playstyle because it gives her the most open space as an imposter. So she's not gonna ever change that playstyle. So yeah.